Alright, it's Barry and today on Grow It I've got a 6-week tomato experiment update. Well, it's been 6 weeks since we started this experiment in the greenhouse, and we are testing the Tomorite specific tomato food against the Miracle-Gro all-purpose plant food. So we're testing which one is going to help the plants grow the best, which is going to grow the most fruit, the best quality fruit, all that sort of stuff. So if you haven't watched the setup video for that already, do go and check out that video. I'll leave a link to that in the description, along with all of the other updates that I've done as these have been growing. So I didn't do one last week because not much had changed, so I didn't really think there was much point. Just keep looking at them every week when nothing's changed. But this week we do have some growth. We've had a few challenges along the way, which I'll go through once we get into the greenhouse. So let's get over there, have a look how they're getting on. And here we are in the greenhouse, and as you can see, still growing, doing really well. We are up to maybe 5 feet tall now on these, so they are doing very nicely. Of course, we've got the Roma ones at the front, which are much smaller variety, so not quite as tall, but they are much bushier. And as you can see, the leaves quite curly. We've got a bit of tip burn on these ones, and that is basically because this week we lost water for a couple of days, so I was waiting for repairs on that, which meant that I could only do fairly limited watering on them, and it was absolutely boiling on Friday, which is typical, so it was probably about 40-45 degrees in the greenhouse on Friday, and it's not done them a great deal of good, but they are recovering. Still, you can see these ones a bit dry, still a bit crispy, so they'll get another good watering today just to try and help them recover a bit. But the reason is that they're not going to be able to handle that quite as well as a normal plant in the ground, because they are in grow bags. I mean, they've got the trays. This one's dried out a bit quicker than this one, but they are in the trays to try and keep them hydrated a bit. But because they have less soil and they're in a grow bag, it's drying out a lot quicker. I mean, it's a black tray, which isn't great as well for sort of absorbing heat and heating the bag up and stuff. So they do dry out a lot quicker than other ones, so not having that water as often as they normally would has obviously done them a bit of a mischief. But the main thing is they are still doing fine, so they are still growing nicely, and they've not gone past the point where it's going to really affect them quite adversely, I'd probably say. See, this one's looking a little bit sadder on these newer leaves. It has had a bit of an impact on them, but for the sake of the experiment, they are both in the same boat, so it's not like one's had an easier time than the other. They are both getting done with this stress from the lack of water, so it shouldn't hopefully affect it in that sense. But as you can see at the front here, we have got tomatoes on this one. I think last time I did the update we didn't have any tomatoes on the Roma ones, so they are starting to grow nicely. We've got some in there. Where's that one there? Still got plenty of flowers on them as well. So there is more fruit to come, which is nice. And the thing I was worried about was that they was just going to drop these flowers with the stress from the lack of water, but they have managed quite all right there. And I don't think it's going to be quite as hot now for at least the next week or two. So that'll give them a bit of time to recover. And there's plenty of flowers on these golden ones, so I'm not too concerned about them at the moment. I think this might be from the water, but it might also be some nutrient imbalance, but it's not showing on this one, so I'm not quite sure on that. We'll see how that comes. Still plenty of tomatoes growing on these as well. They are starting to look quite nice. Where are they? There they are. So we've got quite a few trusses on these ones actually. There's quite a few nice tomatoes starting to turn up on them. And as for the peppers that I've got in here, these are also doing quite nice. What happened then? Let's have a look. There's a couple of different varieties in here. So these ones are mainly just your standard, like bell peppers. Got one down there. Let's have a see. Got plenty of flowers though, doing really nicely. And we've got some just up under there as well. Plenty of flowers over here on this one. Couple of fruits. And under this one, I think this is the one with the biggest ones. Yeah, they're doing really, really well. Oh, how many I've now seen how many I've got on there, so let's have a look. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 peppers on there at the minute. All looking very nice. And then a couple of other varieties that haven't quite got as far ahead as these yet, so they were a bit smaller. Yeah, I'm really happy with them. Hopefully get some very nice peppers growing on those. On this side we have got the Shirley variety ones. So I've got 2 of those there, and these are just straight in the soil, and you can see the difference in these. These are doing much better. Yeah, probably a similar height, maybe around 5 feet tall. These haven't had as much of a stress with that heat and the lack of water because they are in the ground, so they are a little bit more resilient as far as that goes because it doesn't dry out quite as quickly. And the fruit on these is doing really, really nice actually. Got a couple of nice trusses, and the lower down ones that came first, I've got a bag on this one just to see if it's going to help protect it a bit, make sure it doesn't get eaten before they're ready. But the actual fruit is quite nice. I mean, you can kind of see the size of those now. They are starting to go yellow a bit, as opposed to just being like the darker green. They are starting to go yellow, so they are on the way to starting to ripen. So they might be another week or 2 and they should be ready to go. And then on this side, let's have a look at these ones. So these are Lucinda F1, and I've got quite a few fruit growing on these as well. Another couple of nice trusses, got some higher up there as well. Really, really pleased with these. Never tried these varieties before, so hopefully see something nice come from these. Got a couple of side shoots growing on these. I'll get them in a bit. I've been trying to keep on top of it with these ones just to keep them as healthy as I can. And you can see the difference in the leaves. I mean, they have still been a bit stressed. See, like that one there, it has hit them a bit, not having as much water for the last couple of days, but it's not to the same extent as these ones. I mean, you can really see the difference in those ones, what it's done to them compared to the others. But tomatoes, they are quite resilient, so they will come back from it. They'll get plenty of new growth. I mean, they can dehydrate quite a bit before they're a lost cause, so these aren't going to be a problem because they haven't gone that far. This one's a bit sadder, and I do wonder whether that stress is linked to the lower nitrogen content that they are getting from the tomato food. So these, I didn't mention earlier on, just in case this is the first time you've watched it and you've not watched the other ones, this one is getting the Tomorite food, lower nitrogen content. This one's getting the Miracle Grow all-purpose, so it has that higher nitrogen content. So maybe these are dealing with, this side is dealing with the stress not quite as well, having the lower nitrogen content than the Miracle Grow, which is all part and parcel of it. So we'll see how that turns out. And just here as well, I have got the hanging basket tomatoes. These were the Tumbling Tom variety, and they are looking quite nice. They've had the same struggle this week. I did water these a little bit with the water that I had in the water butt left when the water went off, but they are doing all right. Bit yellow, not perfect, but they will recover again, just like the other ones. And these have got absolutely tons and tons of flowers on them. We've already got quite a few tomatoes growing on them as well, so I'm quite happy with those. Yeah, got a nice long stem coming out there as well. I'm not pruning these at all, just leave them to go as they are, and they will keep just growing loads and loads of flowers, so I'm quite happy with these. They are still a little bit dark green on the tomatoes themselves, so they will be another week or 2 for ripening, but yeah, fairly similar to the other ones actually, not too far behind. So hopefully these will start to ripen at around the same time. So we'll come back in another week with these ones and have a look how they are getting on. Well, there we go, that's all there is for today. Hopefully you can see that they are coming along quite nicely. Could be better just based on what's happened this week with the water and the weather being so hot as it has been. Probably couldn't have come at a worse time, because the rest of the year it would have been fine. Probably could have got away with like 2-3 days without them being watered when it's like 16 degrees, but not when it's 30 degrees outside and like 40-45 in the greenhouse. Not ideal conditions, and I only had so much water saved up in the water butt, so yeah, not as much as I could have used, but I mean they've come through all right, not a total loss, so that's the main thing, and they will recover from it because, like I said, they are quite resilient plants, so I'm not too concerned at the moment. And we've seen all those nice tomatoes growing on there as well, with plenty more to come, so that is the main thing that we need from this. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos just like this one and all of the other tomato videos I've done and other gardening tips and things that I've been doing while I've been here. So do have a look at those and let me know in the comments what you think is going to be the winner out of those two plant foods, and if you've got any other suggestions, maybe any tips or tricks for everybody else about how to deal with droughts and things like that when you are growing tomatoes and things in the greenhouse. So it'd be really nice to see what you think about that, and maybe you've had similar things yourself, similar experiences that you can draw from to give us all a couple of tips and tricks as well. So do come back next time. I'll maybe do another update next week. We'll see how these get on this week. It'd be nice to see how they recover and how they do bounce back from not having that water for a couple of days. And yeah, I'll do another update next week and see how they're getting on, and I'll see you then.